Welcome everyone to Village Vitality Series. My name is Aline, and I will be guiding you today through a class designed to help get you unstuck. And some of you may be thinking, what does that mean? Some of you may be thinking, yes, I know exactly what that means for me. And so when I say unstuck, have you ever felt just kind of stuck in your body, or certain joints of your body feel really stuck in place? Maybe you feel very stagnant energetically. Maybe you feel very stuck in your ways. So unstuck can mean a lot of different things. And today's class will try to address, of course, the physical stuckness, the mental stuckness, emotional, maybe even spiritual, depending on how much you get out of this class. It can address almost every dimension of your stuckness. And so we'll be doing a lot of flowing movements today. We always move a lot with the breath, but we'll be transitioning a lot more between postures and focusing on that transition. This is a very valuable exercise to do, to work on transitioning between movements, because working on that fluidity can really help in the sense of the functioning of your joints, your muscles, all of your tissues, and also with the effect of the nervous system. So yeah, lots of movement today. We'll be focusing a lot on the hips. And in terms of our centering technique and our breath work, I'm incorporating a breathing technique that is both energizing and calming. So it really is one of those special ones that kind of fine tunes the nervous system, because it's not just focusing on parasympathetic stimulation, which is our rest and digest, but it also focuses on sympathetic stimulation, which is our fight or flight, and kind of works to bring those into balance. So for class, notice I do have my mat set up in a different way than normal. If you have a mat, I do recommend changing up your setup to match this, because we will be doing some wide-legged postures from the chair, and like I said, flowing back and forth between postures, and it'll just feel really nice to have that mat under both feet, as opposed to having the mat lengthwise, and then probably in those wide-legged postures, you don't even have your feet on the mat. Don't fret if you don't have a mat. The main reason to use one is to keep the chair from sliding around on a slick floor. And it's just a nice little added bonus to have it for your bare feet if you have a hard surface that you're working on. I do have my towel today. We'll be doing some hip circles as well as seated pigeon at the end of class. And so that towel around the ankle may really help you to get the body into the right position for the stretch. So gather your things, get yourself ready, get those shoes and socks off, unless you've been told by your doctor to pretty much never remove your shoes. Then you'll want to keep those on for the class today. So let's go ahead and get into our centering position. Remember, if you need a little bit more support, or if you have issues with the feet falling asleep, then you may want to scoot all the way back to your chair. You know what? I'm actually going to recommend for the breathing technique that we all start scooted back in our chair. So with this breathing technique, it's Viloma Pranayama, or breathing against the grain. We've done this one before, but it's been a little while since I brought it back. The reason why I'm encouraging us to recline back and have the support of the chair is so that we can really focus on the 3-part breathing. So really quickly, because I could talk anatomy all day, but in terms of the anatomy of our lungs do not extend beyond our rib cage. So really your lungs are in this top portion of the chest. But For the breathing technique, I will cue you to breathe into your belly, then your ribs, then your collarbones. So you're not literally bringing air into the belly, but you're trying to draw the air so deeply into the lungs that you feel that belly expand out. And so when we go for this 3-part technique, we're trying to expand the belly first, then the rib cage, and expanding it out, but also to the sides, and then the collarbones. So you're filling the air from the bottom up, and then when you empty, when you exhale, you're trying to exhale from the top down. So I'll give some visualizations and talk you through all of that, but I thought it might be helpful for you to see it to know the roadmap of where we're going today. So scooting on back in your chair, because we're not worrying so much about rooting down through the feet, you don't have to have them in perfect alignment, but it doesn't hurt to try to work towards that anatomical position. So I'm going to have my knees hip width apart still, and my feet more or less underneath my knees. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect since we're not doing any kind of weight bearing here. And even though I'm leaning in the back of the chair, I'm trying to stay as upright as possible. And I'm going to recommend, if you can, and if it's still relaxing for you, to bring one hand to the belly, so maybe around the area of the belly button or solar plexus, and one hand to the chest. And this is just going to help you to really feel externally and internally that 3-part breathing. So once you've gotten positioned, let your eyes close and just start to settle in and observe how you're feeling this morning. Do you have places that already you can identify as feeling stuck in the body? So we actually do get literal adhesions in the muscles. Think of if you peeled the skin away from the body. So that didn't sound as good as I thought it was going to sound, but if we're looking underneath the skin and down to the level of the muscles, you don't just have a single layer of muscles in any region of the body. We actually have many layers. So there are deep muscles that are closer to the bones and the joints themselves. And then there are muscles on top of those muscles. So typically we have layers. And in a normal, healthy, functioning body of like a 7-year-old, because basically once you pass that point, we start to get issues. But when you have a normal, healthy, functioning body, those muscles will glide across each other. So we have these sliding surfaces. And when we don't move our bodies enough, when we experience injuries or traumas, we start to get adhesions or spots where the muscles kind of stick together and they don't slide and glide anymore. And so you may identify those spaces, maybe just feeling it, but also, of course, through movement or lack of movement. So we're working to unstick all of those spots today. So just observing the body. Notice the breath now and any movement that comes to the hands. And if you're not really focusing on your breathing, you're not deepening your breathing, you probably don't feel much movement at the hand on your belly. But now just try deepening the breath a little bit. Drawing those inhales down a little bit fuller, a little bit more intentionally, and see if you notice more movement in the hands. And we'll add on to that deep or deeper breathing by trying to imagine our torso, this space that you're touching between the hands, as just an empty vessel. And sometimes as I do this breathing technique, I like to even imagine that I'm not just filling my vessel with air, but I'm filling it with whatever I want to draw into my life, filling it with love, compassion, kindness, vitality, happiness. So, whatever you want to fill your vessel with, you can even imagine bringing or setting the intention of bringing those things in. So, just as any vessel would fill, if you're filling it with water, with sand, with stones, whatever you're filling it with, it fills from the bottom up. So, we want to do the same thing with our breathing. On my inhale, I want to draw my breath so deeply into this vessel of my body that I feel that hand on my belly move first. So, I'm drawing in deep, belly expands. Then the ribs expand as I keep inhaling. And as I keep inhaling, I feel a lift at the collarbones. And then as I exhale, I'm emptying the vessel in the opposite pattern. So I'm emptying from the collarbones, then from the ribs, and then from the belly. So inhaling belly, ribs, chest, exhaling chest, ribs, belly. And that breathing pattern, one more time, is inhaling belly, ribs, chest, exhaling chest, ribs, belly. Go ahead and continue with that breathing pattern, either slowing it down or speeding it up to accommodate for your breath today. And maybe even visualizing whatever you want to fill your vessel with. And the beautiful thing about that visualization is you fill yourself with all of these things: love, happiness, kindness. And then when you exhale, you're sending it out to not only those around you, those that you love and care for, but the whole of humanity. And in that way, making yourself a vessel of change. Take several more rounds breathing in this way, inhaling through the nostrils and exhaling through the nostrils, and just trying to fill each of those segments of the body. If those hands get tired, you can, of course, drop those hands to your lap. But hopefully, leaning back in the chair gives you a little support so there's not much muscle effort going on. Remember, with any of our breathing techniques, we want to do the best that we can without too much force, without straining. So don't worry if you're having trouble with this technique and maybe you're not able to feel each of those individual three parts of the breath. That's okay. You're just doing your best towards that. Take about 2 more breath cycles, 2 more inhales and exhales. And at the end of that second exhale, relax the hands down. And you can keep the eyes closed or open them and bring yourself to seated mountain pose. So now we're all going to come to the edge of the chair, starting that work towards better posture, not just in class, but also every day, every minute. And so coming to the edge, rooting those feet underneath the knees. Knees are hip width apart. We'll first move through some gentle twisting. So hands to the thighs, take a deep inhale. And on your exhale, twisting over to that right side. That left hand is going to slide forward on your thigh. Right hand is going to slide back. And inhale to center. Exhale, twist to the left. And inhale, center. These are not deep abdominal engagement twists. Here, we're just working to get all those muscles along the spine warmed up. And so it's just a gentle, very minimal effort type movement. Of course, it's okay if your abdominals are engaging, but that's not the focus with this movement. If you notice that you're starting to lean forward or to the side, take a moment to recenter, stacking the shoulders over the hips. And notice how that changes the sensation of your twisting. So exhaling to twist, inhaling to release. The next time you find yourself twisting to the right, go ahead and pause there, but keep breathing. Don't pause your breath. And see if you'd like to move any deeper into your twist. So you'll take that left hand, bring it on to the right thigh. Don't let that thigh move in. So keep that foot planted, keep that leg active. You can take that right hand and bring it along your chair and just see if you'd like to very gently probe into a deeper twist. Taking a couple more breaths here. Trying to lift and lengthen on each inhale and twist a little further on each exhale. One more inhale. And on your exhale, release that twist. And let's do that slightly deeper twist to the left side now. So just taking a couple more of the dynamic twists. Exhaling to twist and inhaling to center. And now the next time we twist to the left, let's hold there. I'm going to bring that right hand across to the outer edge of my left thigh now. And then my left hand somewhere along the chair. So I like to hook it underneath towards the bottom and just move a little deeper into that twist. Now, one right away cue that you'll get if you're trying too hard or pushing too hard is the shoulders hunching up. So if you can't press the shoulders down, that means you're pushing too far in your twist. Remember, our body never lies to us, but we just tend to ignore it most of the time. Take one more inhale here. And on your exhale, release. Let's move now through some cat and cow motions. And I'm going to provide two options today. You can keep along with the hands gliding technique, which is really nice and very representative of our trying to get unstuck fluid movement. Even if you're pressing a little harder on the thighs, you're getting blood flowing a little bit more through the legs, so that can be nice. But if you'd like to stimulate a little more chest and shoulder opening and strengthening, then for this exercise or sequence, you'll inhale the arms open, squeeze the shoulder blades together for your back bending or cow position. And then for your forward folding or cat position, you're scooping out And you're just bringing those palms forward in front of you. So it'll look like this. Inhaling to open and exhaling to scoop. If you're not using the arms, well, you're still using the arms, but if the arms are staying on the thighs, it'll look like this. So scooping, sending those hands forward, and then back bending, sending those hands back. So decide how you'd like to go with the arms today. Let's take about 5 or so rounds of cat and cow. This is a very beneficial flow sequence. If you don't remember anything else from these chair classes, cat and cow is going to be one that if you can practice on a daily basis, it can do wonders for your back health. Let's take 2 more. And on your next inhale, just inhale to come up to neutral and exhale to release the arms. Let's get the legs warmed up now. So grabbing that towel if you'd like to use it, or you can grab with just the right hand under the thigh. We're going for some hip circles. So circling as big as you can without too much additional movement from the rest of the body. So some of you may really like this towel. It gives you some support. You don't have to be quite as flexible to get that bigger range of motion in the hip. But if you don't like it, don't use it. Reverse directions of your circles. Just getting those joints warmed up. Making that synovial fluid a little less viscous, a little less thick. We want it to be a little more runny. I like to think of eggs. And like an over easy egg is what we're going for. And that consistency, because that means more nutrient uptake in the joint, more lubrication in the joint. So next time you open that leg out, go ahead and settle it down. We're going to go for our groin stretch. You can adjust here if you need to with the hips. We're trying for a 90-degree angle and those feet perpendicular to one another. And try to release that right elbow down to the right thigh, noticing that stretch in the back and side, left side, and then probably also here in the right groin. If you can, you're going to inhale that left arm up. And if you can, we're going to try for some fluid chest opening movements. So we want to inhale to open the chest up towards the ceiling. So I'm trying to push that right shoulder forward and then push that left shoulder back. And I might not actually accomplish that, but that's the energetic movement that I'm going for. And then release that chest opener, coming back to neutral. Inhale, open. Exhale, release. Last time, open. And release. Stretch those fingertips over to the right as far as you can. And on an inhale, slowly come on up. Go ahead and either drag that leg back to center or use muscle effort to do so. We're going to straighten that right leg out. This guy can go behind you or back on your chair or anywhere else where you can easily grab it again soon. Just going to let ourselves come on back. A little bit of core engagement here, but nothing major. We're still in warm-up mode. And just lifting that right leg enough to be able to freely move and circle the ankle. So we want to move through flexing and pointing the toes as well. And I'm gonna, like, as I circle, I'm just gonna kind of wiggle those toes around, try to spread them out, and work through the toe range of motion a little bit as well. If you want to make this more active and engage your abdominals, feel free. You can send the arms out, but it's meant to be a little more of a relaxing, working through range of motion. But it's up to you. Go ahead and reverse directions. Make sure, though, you're not sinking down. You still want to maintain a nice open chest, so you may feel some abdominal engagement here from that. Oh, I think I reversed my direction. And when you've had enough circling, you've gotten all the pops out, go ahead and release that heel down, come up, and start to hinge forward into your hamstring and back stretch. So here we're trying to keep length in the spine, trying not to just round. Because check this out, y'all. I can be sitting up pretty much upright. By the way, you're stretching still. Get on down there. I can be almost upright and touch my toes. I feel no stretch at all in the back of my leg right now. It's because it's all in my back. I'm rounding it. If I try to move forward with a straight back, I might not get nearly as far, but I sure feel that stretch now. So it's really important to try with that pelvic tilt. So we want to really press the belly forward, keep the back straight. Taking some nice deep breaths here. Remember, if you are lucky enough to have a yoga block or some other firm object that you can put this hand down on, that might be nice. Maybe you can secure that for next time, because we're pretty much going to do this stretch every single class. So important to free up our muscle tension in the back of the body. On an inhale, come up and slide that foot back in. Let's do hip circles on the left side, but let's take a moment first to feel the difference between the right and the left side. Pretty amazing. Anyway, so grabbing that towel if you'd like to use it, or just bringing the left hand underneath the knee, starting to circle that left knee now. So working into that hip. Noticing the hip might be popping, and that's pretty normal. A lot of times that popping, I've mentioned many times before, is ligaments kind of moving in the joint, maybe against the bone. And for some people, that really signals that they're tight in that joint. Not always. Go ahead and reverse directions. Try to stay as tall in your seat as you can. Try to keep the torso as still as possible. But I notice personally, when my hips start to pop more, it happens when I'm not doing as much working out. And that's also true for a lot of people that I've worked with in the past. All right, so the next time you circle out to that left side, plant that foot down. Take that towel, keep it handy, but we won't be using it again until the end of class. So making your 90-degree angle here for your groin stretch, keeping the chest forward. We're just trying to side bend over to that left side, bring that hand down, and then that right arm can come up. And you can just stay here enjoying all the sensations that you're feeling. But if you'd like to incorporate a little bit more fluid movement and chest opening to get unstuck in that upper body and shoulders, let's inhale to open. And exhale, release. So I'm pressing that left shoulder forward and right shoulder back on my inhale. Exhale, release. One more time. And exhale, release. And let's try to reach those fingertips over to that left side as far as you can, just increasing that stretch along the whole right side of the body. Before we then inhale to come up. And exhale, relax that arm down. Go ahead and bring that left leg back to center. Straighten it out. You can lean back in your chair here, but keep that nice open posture. So don't let yourself dump down here. Keep the chest open. Shoulders are pressing down actively. Let's lift that left leg and start to work through that ankle. Ankle is probably one of the joints that you hear and feel the most popping. So we've got a lot of tendons that run across the ankle joint. Remember, that's muscle connecting to bone. Trying to work through the toes here as well. And go ahead and reverse directions. So the cool thing about ankle circles is it gets almost all of the main ankle joint movements in one exercise. So you know how sometimes we point and flex and then we do this? You're getting all of that in the circle. All right, when you've had enough circling, release that heel down. Come back up nice and tall with your spine. Deep inhale, and on your exhale, start to hinge forward. Keep that length. Really try to press the bony part of your base of your pelvis, your sits bones. Try to press them back towards the back of the room. Try to press the belly forward. And you'll feel that light up all along the back of that straight leg for your stretch. And remember here, whenever we're holding our stretches, we're trying to release as much as we can. Relaxing tension in the face, that is one of the most common areas when you're practicing any type of stretching, really, and even strength training, stuff like that. When you're exerting the body, we tend to hold tension in the jaw, the eyebrows, but also the shoulders. So just try to melt it all out of there. Deep breaths. Good. Just noticing where you're feeling stretching. Are you tighter on one side than the other? Sending all those little notes up into our filing cabinet. And very slowly on an inhale, start to come up. And slide that foot in. Okay, let's get ready to bring it up just a little bit with our vinyasa sequence. So for your forward fold, remember you'll inhale the arms up and you'll exhale either fold, fold, or fold. So different levels for you. Decide where you want to go this morning. Inhale to lift the arms. Exhale to fold forward. Keeping that length as long as you can, flat back, until the last moment when you fold it all forward. Here, allowing the back to round, to stretch it out. And remember, you may not want to put the head below the heart if you get really dizzy from these changes in body positioning. Then you're going to want to stay in a little more of an upright position with the head level with the heart. You'll still get a nice stretch in the low back, maybe not quite as much. But we got to respect our bodies.
One more breath down here. On your inhale, start to engage a little bit more again. Hands to the thighs or hands behind you to come all the way up. My right hip always pops on that one. Go ahead and grab the chair. Take an inhale to press forward through the chest, through the belly and the ribs, pulling away from the back of the chair for your back bend. Taking a couple breaths here. And on an exhale, releasing those arms. Let's get ready for a little more activation. Hands can come to the hips. We're going to work on toe taps on both sides, 10 on each side. So I'm just going to lift that heel up, come up to my toes. Knee comes up and out. Tap as far open to the side as I can. And then tap to center. Out and center. Trying to keep this upright posture. If you want to get a little more arm activation, you can keep those arms out. Or you can even move the arms with the legs. So many options. But if you're having trouble with the movement, just focus on one thing at a time. Let's do 4 more. Nice and slow. 3, 2, and 1. Relax that foot down. Decompress a little bit. Let's get ready to do it on the other side. So coming back up to that nice upright posture, engaging in the core, engaging in the back, coming up to those left toes, up and out to the left, and then back to center, out and back. Working a lot of muscles here in the hips, outer thighs, and inner thighs. So we are definitely getting things unstuck in here. 4 more. 3, keep breathing. 2, last 1, and relax. Opening up to goddess now. If you'd like a little more of a challenge, you can try to do kind of like a toe tap out and then a toe tap out and come to goddess, or you can just wiggle your feet out however you need to come to it. You're basically trying to open up the legs as much as possible, keeping the alignment of the knees under the ankles and toes angling out about a 45-degree angle, maybe more. You probably are noticing the stretch in the groin area and inner thighs, the engagement in the glutes and the hips. Let's try to hang out here for a little bit with some flowing movements. Go ahead and inhale that left arm up. Exhale into a side reach. Inhale to come up and exhale down. Other side, inhaling right arm up. Exhaling side reach. Inhaling back up and exhaling down. If you'd like a little more of a challenge, don't bring that opposite elbow to the thigh. Instead, you'll bring that hand down in front of you. Exhaling over. Inhaling up. And switching. So I'm not putting any weight into this arm. And in that sense, I'm working my abdominals a little bit more. So you decide, do you want this to be more of a restorative stretching movement or more of an active engaged movement? Try to decide based on how your body feels. Do a little bit of each. We're going to be cycling through this several more times, so you have time to experiment. Try not to let your head get too involved, like, oh, Aline said this one's more activating, and I want to work my muscles, but do your muscles, is that what they want? So we want to try to tap in to that intuition
that exists in there, but we sometimes ignore. Let's take one more reach to each side. I'm going to switch to my relaxing, stretching version. And on an exhale, relax. Go ahead and, we're not going to release yet. I almost forgot. From here, we're going to move into Warrior Two. So keeping my right leg where it is, I'm going to start to straighten out and to the side my left leg. So I'm trying to get it straightened out. I'm trying to get that inner arch in line with the heel of my front foot. And I'm also trying to get the outer edge of that foot down as best as I can. So opening here, Warrior Two. Very powerful, energizing movement. We're trying to send that energy out both ways in terms of the arm activation. If this is too much for your shoulders, hands come to hips, or try what's called cactus arms. This is putting a little less strain on the shoulders, but still activating them more than hands on the hips. So from here, we're going to try to flow 3 times from Warrior Two, where we are now, to triangle. So what that will look like is you can bring the hands down. This right hand will come behind the hip, pressing into that right hand, pushing the weight into your feet, and straightening that right leg. Send that left arm up. Triangle. Deep inhale here. On your exhale, release back to Warrior Two. Hips can come to the seat. Arms up. Hand to the seat. Triangle. Exhale, release. Inhale, Warrior Two. Exhale, release. Inhale, triangle. Exhale, release. Inhale, Warrior Two. One more. Exhale, release the arms. Inhale, triangle. This time we're going to hold triangle for a couple breaths. So both legs are straight, but not locked. So I've got a little bend in those knees. I'm trying to rotate that front leg knee so it's facing up towards the ceiling. Feeling that stretch, y'all. Take one more deep inhale here. And on your exhale, release those hips down. Release those legs. Shake them out. Do whatever you need to do to decompress a little bit. Coming back to your seated mountain pose. So finding that alignment. Perching on the edge of the chair. We'll take one more forward fold and back bend. So inhaling the arms up. Exhaling to fold forward. Keep length in the spine as long as you can before releasing all the way down. Maybe this time we're very warmed up in the back, and you can clasp opposite elbows to draw you a little deeper into your stretch. On an exhale, release those hands if you have them clasped, or elbows rather. On your inhale, start to lift and engage again. Hands can come to the thighs to lift all the way up, or if you want more of a challenge, through locust pose. And again, you can grab the seat for your back bend, or if you'd like a little deeper variation, because we've warmed up a lot now, if you'd like to, you can try interlacing those fingers behind you And rolling the shoulders, I like to roll them up and then back and down. Opening that chest. So belly opens forward, chest opens forward, those hands lift. Whew. Very good and effective chest and shoulder opener, but just be gentle with it, especially if you have any existing shoulder issues. Breathing here. One more inhale. And on your exhale, let go. Now we'll work with our toe taps again. This time we're going to try for double taps. Yes, it's going to look weird. Should you care? No. You're in your living room or wherever you are by yourself or maybe with your partner. So don't even worry about it. We are going to two options here. So for a little more of a challenge, stay upright, tapping. So we're trying to do both at the same time. For more support, lean back a little bit, but remember you're staying open and upright. And if both legs is just way too much or you feel it pulling too much on the low back, then I want you to do 5, because we're going to do 10 total. So do 5 with the right leg and then 5 with the left leg, going back to singles, okay? So pick your method here. Come up to the toes. Engage that core either way, whether you're doing singles or doubles or whether you're sitting upright or leaning back. And let's open out and come in. Out and in. You will feel this engage the abdominals, even leaning back like this. Oh yeah. Open and close. Open and close. If you're with me on the doubles, we've got 5 more. Here's 5, 4, 3. You got this, y'all. 2. Last one. Remain in goddess. So come up, adjust the feet if you need to. If you were doing your singles, go ahead and open out to goddess pose. We're just going to take some nice stretching here. So make sure you've got that alignment. Knees over ankles. You're opening out as much as you can. And we're just going to start to lean forward. Be careful here. If you feel like you're going to topple out of your seat, then stop leaning forward. But bringing those hands to the thighs, so you're kind of pushing those knees open a little bit, just increasing that inner thigh stretch. So leaning forward and then back off for a second. Let's do that 2 more times. So you're leaning forward, taking a breath or two in that deeper stretch. And then backing off. 1 more time. Be sure to try to keep those shoulders down. Deepen that stretch any amount. Holding this one a little longer. And slowly coming up. All right, so warrior 2 on the other side now. So keeping my left foot pretty much where it is, I'm going to start to straighten out that right leg. Perhaps adjusting in the seat a little bit just so you feel stable here. And you're trying to work that leg to as straight as you can, where the arch is intersecting. If you were to draw a line, it's intersecting the heel of that front foot. So coming here, determining where the arms are going to go. Maybe they stay on the hips. Cactus arms. Or straight arms. Breathing here. Wherever the arms are, you're gazing out towards that left side. Let's take our flow now. So left hand comes down to the seat behind your left hip. On an inhale, pressing up into triangle. Taking a breath here.
And on your exhale, releasing back down to warrior two. Taking a breath here. Exhale, release the arms. Inhale, press up to triangle. So straightening that front leg, the feet stay right where they are. Taking a breath here, not locking that front knee. And release those hips down. Inhale the arms up to warrior two. One more triangle, and we're going to hold it there for a couple breaths. So a little bit longer. So exhale, release the arms. Inhale, press up, triangle. This time holding here, breathing, exploring where you feel your sensations of stretching. Trying to open that chest to the front. And when you're ready, on an exhale, releasing down and relaxing those legs. Nice work. Let's come to standing just for a really short sequence to help work on our balance a little bit. So, coming up to standing behind your chair. If you'd like to join me for coming through chair pose, let's do it. So we're going to walk those feet in, reach those arms out, back stays straight and engaged. Try to sink those heels down, press forward into the feet. Come on out of that chair. Staying here for a breath or two if you can. Wonderful leg strengthener. Inhale to come all the way up. And exhale, palms join in front of the heart. Tapping in for a second to that heartbeat. And on an exhale, relaxing. All right. So we're going to come behind the chair. I'm going to move mine forward. You may want to do so too if you'd like your feet to be on the mat. Just working really briefly on a standing balance posture that we've really prepped the body very nicely for today. Tree pose. So 2 options for practicing tree. If you would rate yourself in the awful, terrible balance category, then you're going to want to face the chair for this one. If you rate yourself in the marginally terrible balance category, just somewhat terrible, then you're going to turn sideways to the chair for a little more challenge. I'm going to be sideways just so you can see my body better. And what we'll be doing here is first finding standing Tadasana. So my feet are hip width apart, feet are parallel. I'm rooting down through those feet, gripping with my toes, slight bend in the knees. In terms of the pelvis, it's not poking back and it's not tucked under. It's neutral. So kind of a little bit in between. You can kind of work with the 2 extremes and then find neutral. Okay. A little bit of engagement here in the core. Open chest, relaxed shoulders. Standing beautifully right now. So from here, what you'll do is start to shift just slightly into that left hip so you can bend that right knee. And with that right foot, you'll slide it on in, making a little kickstand with the right toes on the ground. And arms can come forward. If you're sideways to the chair, maybe you keep this left hand opening out to the side just so you can grab the chair more easily.
But if you're feeling pretty good about your kickstand setup, maybe you've got both hands out. And so if you're facing the chair, you can practice, I would probably say opposite arm lifting just to kind of counterbalance. And it'll be a little bit easier, I think, than lifting the right arm. And you can do just a little like, ooh, both hands away and grab hold again. So just testing the waters. If you feel pretty good here with your kickstand, add a little more challenge by sliding that foot up to the calf. So just sliding it up, you're pressing actively into the foot, but you're also pressing actively with that supporting leg towards the foot. So it's that both forces squeezing in, pressing in. And perhaps hands come to the heart. Maybe you're feeling wild today, feeling really good, and you want to bring those arms up overhead. Just take another few moments here. Maybe you've fallen out of this 5 times and had to restart. It's part of the process. When you have had enough, go ahead and release that foot down. Let's stretch those hips out a little bit. So shifting over to the right. My right leg is staying straight. My left knee is bending. So I'm shifting that way, really stretching that outer hip. And then taking the opposite. So bending or keeping the left knee straight, bending the right, and pushing over to that left side. Okay, tree on the other side now, and then we'll do our final cool down stretch. So again, I'm moving my chair just so you can see me better. Finding your Tadasana again. Rooting down. It's really important to set your foundation when you're doing balance work practice. Of course, in real life, you might not have this time and ability to set yourself up, but it's helpful when we're here. So you want to make sure you're far enough away from the chair so that when you shift to that right hip and bend that left knee, you're not touching the chair with that hip. Make your little kickstand. Left arm goes out if you're sideways to the chair. If you're facing the chair, I recommend right hand moving away first. And from here, play with it. Keep the kickstand at first. Maybe both arms. Maybe not. Just depending on how you're feeling today. And of course, we don't want to push ourselves so far that we risk falling. So that's the tricky thing with our balance work is we have to push ourselves enough to actually improve and test the balance. But if we push too far, then we might fall while we're trying to work on balance. So be mindful, err on the side of caution if you're unsure. Now work on sliding that foot up if you can and want to. And that's not reckless for you. Try not to lean. Oh, that's nice. Cheating, leaning on the chair. So again, another reason not to be too close to that chair. Try to lift up out of that right hip. Okay, and when you've had enough, on an exhale, release. And go ahead and take that little hip stretch. Either side first is fine. Maybe moving to that left side first, so pressing out through that hip. Left knee stays straight, right knee bends. And then the other side. We'll take a deeper stretch here in just a moment.
All right, so coming back to your seat for seated pigeon pose. So here you may use that towel if you are so close to being able to draw that foot and cross it over, but you're just not quite there. I've worked with folks where it is manageable for them to draw that knee in, and then from there, grabbing hold of the ankle and crossing it over. So see what you can do, but don't push it too hard. If you can't manage the ankle crossing at the thigh, then you're going to cross ankle to ankle. And trust me, you're still going to feel a hip stretch when you hinge forward. So if you can, ideally you're crossing ankle over thigh. And even just with that initial crossing, without even leaning forward, you may feel plenty of stretch. So just stay here. But if you'd like to increase the stretch, you're going to start to hinge forward and feel it all in this whole hip, back. Yes. So try to relax here. You know, we've kind of done this entire class just to be able to do this stretch. It's such a vital one for your hip health and can help with back pain as well. So a lot of times our low back pain can stem from issues in the hips. Of course, if you know that your low back pain is caused by spinal stenosis or a herniated disc or something like that, then that's where it's from. But if you just kind of have generic achy low back pain, this may really help you. On an inhale, start to lift up. And drawing that knee into the chest, uncross. Take a moment to notice how this side feels 5 times larger than the other side, partly because we've opened up space, partly because we're stimulating blood flow, and part magic. So draw that left knee in, either with your towel or with your hands, and guide that ankle over, or ankle crosses over ankle. And go ahead and start to shift into your pigeon pose on this opposite side. If that knee is coming all the way up into the chest, honestly, it doesn't really matter as long as you're feeling the stretch. If you would like to try to start getting more towards lowering that knee down, you can press really gently on the thigh of that left leg, but only if that feels good to you and only if it doesn't cause any torquing on the knee. Yes. Breathing deeply here. Trying to release wherever you can in the body. If you notice that you're holding on to tension, try to work it out. Staying here for about 3 more breaths. Deep and full inhales and exhales. Don't cheat yourself on this stretch. Maybe that was more than 3 breaths for you. But on your next inhale, start to lift up. And drawing that knee into the chest to uncross and get ready to relax. I'm already like falling asleep over here, so hopefully you feel relaxed too. If you're in your chair and you're just going to stay here, honestly, you can just lean back and you're ready to go. You can always shift and just figure out the most comfortable position for you. Feel free to move to the couch, to move to your bed, to move wherever you want to for Shavasana, our final relaxation. So just trying to get the wiggles out,
Get any kind of muscle tension out. And find some relaxation today. So once you've kind of settled into your Shavasana, let the eyes close. Let the breath go without trying to control it in any way. Relaxing the jaw and the eyebrows, the shoulders and the glutes. Just feeling the body become so heavy, so relaxed that the thought of lifting even a finger seems almost impossible. When you're ready to begin to come out of this posture and this deep, relaxed, meditative state, do so by beginning to deepen the breath. Breathing lightness, movement, and openness back into the body. Just starting small, moving the feet, the hands. Making those movements bigger. There's no right or wrong here, bringing your body out of Shavasana. Well, I guess I should say the wrong way is just bolting right on up and sitting. Maybe take a nice long stretch. When you're ready to open the eyes, you can blink them open. I don't know, something about today's got me super relaxed. Hopefully you feel the same way too. Hopefully you feel a little more fluid, a little more comfortable, unstuck, physically, emotionally, mentally, all the ways. And thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste. And again, my name is Aline. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, direct them to me. And I can't wait to see you next time for our next session. Have an awesome day. Bye.